I got producer Jay at home on his other, so that he doesn't have to come here to the studio. And we're going to try to get this going so that we can do it during the week instead of just Sunday morning. So bear with us for a second while we try to get this going on. And just shout out, Jay, if you need me to do something. I'm working on the podcast, working on the new podcast. I got Audacity open, and I'm interviewing a woman, or I interviewed a woman who has a bizarre story of sexual abuse. And when she joined a church that eventually lured her abuser father in, it was an incest abuse situation, a really ugly story of a broken family, where when she got to see her father once a week on Sunday, and he just sexually abused her when she was there. And he ended up joining a fundamentalist church and getting saved and stopped abusing her when he got saved. But then when she kept waiting for him to sort of, repent, make amends, if you will, talk about what he did, and he never did. And when it finally came to a head and they had it out, he shamed her for being a bad Christian for even bringing it up. Like he was supposed to be a better person now, and she was being crappy for even bringing it up to him. And it's hard to even listen to the story without crying. And just goes to point out how religion not only engenders clandestine sex of all kinds. I learned this in my church at an early age, that clandestine sex and religion go hand in hand. Hey, Mama Bear Baby. And it's going to be tough for me to read. I've never done this where I'm looking at the screen too. And I know people go live and they have a tough time like looking and reading. Not only does church and religion and clandestine sex go hand in hand, but then the church, and not just the Catholic Church, which of course is the biggest ring in history of abuse of children, but other churches too. They protect the abuser, and they kind of sweep it under the rug, and the abuser ends up kind of having his reputation or her reputation protected. And meanwhile, the church is demonizing rock and roll and shit like that, and letting sexual abusers, not necessarily get away with it, but at least get away without having to come out about it and confess or being chastised in any way. And I heard our gal, I Blame Bill, talking about that earlier, how there's church punishment, in place. Anybody ever been to a church that punishes you? Jesus loves everybody. That's the great thing about Jesus. Doesn't mean he's divine, though. I love Jesus too, but he wasn't God. Is that a landscaping joke? Somebody know I'm a landscaper? Oh, Jesus. Oh, I get it. Jesus loves you. He told us after he did his landscaping. Good one. I get it. It's racist, though, man. Come on. How we doing, Jay? Are we able to?
I think I can. So I can see the comments. So I think we'll just try it this way. I don't know if everyone can hear me. In the comments, if you can hear me, can you?
Are they listening through my mic, or how's that?
Yeah, through your speakers.
I'll turn it up then.
Okay.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody can comment if they can hear Jason in the background. So what's up, Jay?
I think.
Okay, Mama Bear says she can hear you. Thank you, dear. Cool. Well, maybe we can work it out this way then. Are you able to see comment?
Yeah. I can see the comments, but I can't get the Q&A, which probably works anyways, because a lot of people leave the questions in the comments anyways. So
yeah, with both of us looking at the comments and questions, maybe we can keep up with them a little better. So welcome to Wednesday night. We're going live for the first time on a weekday evening, and I was talking about sexual abuse in the church and how not only do churches kind of breed clandestine sex, and I don't mean always sexual abuse, but things like swingers clubs. That's what went on in my church when I was young. Is I got to a new church, and what's up, Atheist Hub, and how do I feel about the term God bless? That's a good one. I'll get right to that. But the church I was in, it turned out like the choir guy and the preacher were running like a wife swapping thing in the 70s, you know what I mean? And so it was like a real eye opener. I'm like, okay, church is about hypocrites, and really, and that's what that's up. Besides outright abuse, it's also just about and I think it makes it exciting if it's dirty sex and it's not supposed to be, it's clandestine. It makes it more exciting for people. So I think that kind of shit goes hand in hand. How do I feel about the term God bless? When people say that to me, I don't really get offended. It's a lot of times it's an expression. And I was thinking about this earlier. We're never going to be able to get rid of the God concept. It's just ingrained in all of us, even if we were raised secular. It's such a part of society. You hear people say "God damn" and God only knows and shit like that. So crap like that as a thing, to me, I give that a pass. A lot of times they're just expressions, and I don't really it doesn't really bug me if people say God bless you when I know that they know that I'm an atheist and they're saying it to be to kind of take a jab at me. Then it bugs me a little bit. But if God is not all powerful, if he can obliterate the devil, that's a good question. He's if he is all powerful, but he's unwilling to obliterate the devil, then he's malevolent. If he's not all powerful, then he can't obliterate the devil. Then that means that he's unable. And if he's unable, then that means he's not omnipotent. If he's both willing and able, then why is there still evil? If he's unwilling and unable, then why call him God? That's the Epicurean thing that somebody brought up the other day. The Satanic Temple is cool. Those guys are our buddy. What's his name? Dadpool 86. Captain Dadpool 86. He calls it spicy atheism, Satanism, which is cool. I always thought of it as atheism with a gimmick. Those guys use Satanism as a way to really shove it up the Christians' giggy and go around and make sure that they get their equal rights. You need to put up a statue of Satan because you've got a Ten Commandments monument, and I think it's a great bit. I think they have a lot more success than plain old atheists like us do. So I envy them for that. But it was never me, so I'm not going to, I'm not going to steal their thunder like that. But yeah, Satanist, atheist. Go ahead.
Oh, how was the religious crowd able to get Lil Nas song censored, which I didn't know they did?
I didn't know they did either. You know what? I still haven't even watched the video. I'm not a big fan of Lil Nas. I'm real proud of him for doing it. And who knows, man? The outlets that publish that shit are afraid to lose sponsorship, like everybody. They don't want to lose sponsors and they don't want to lose viewers. And sadly, most of the general public is still a God believer of some type, or the people that watch network TV and crap like that. So that's always going to happen, sadly.
Opinions on astrology and zodiac signs.
Vanilla atheists. Astrology, I was with a group of really educated, sharp people who were talking about astrology like it was real the other day. It's interesting, it's sort of fun, and I love looking at how astrotheology led to religion in a lot of ways, especially in the Abrahamic faiths. But astrology is just another pseudoscience. There's no evidence for it. It's all just bullshit. It's all, if you read that crap, it's all so vague it could fit with anybody. But it's evocative. I think people love to be like, oh yeah, I'm a Gemini personally, and I am kind of have that multiple personality thing, and so it does. I get it. I get why people think it's cool, but it's all just another form of bullshit. There's no doubt about it.
What would you suggest to derail grandparents from trying to indoctrinate children?
It just needs to be a cultural change. We're never going to stop those people from doing it. They'll be dead soon, like all of us. But if we can if we can just turn society more secular, then that stuff will fade away. I don't think there's anything we can do about your if you're talking about like if a parent is fairly atheist, but the granny gets around and like. I had that problem. My in-laws were, and they weren't even terribly religious, but they couldn't abide the atheism. They never went to church, and they were horrible people in their own ways, but they couldn't resist when you turned your back. They were God blessing you, the baby, and telling them that there was a God and stuff. And you just gotta re-educate your kid and deprogram them if you want them to see Grandpa, and Grandpa's doing that to
them. Do you think it's possible? There's a possibility of life form advanced enough to create life?
Say it again.
Do you think there's a possibility of a life form advanced enough to create life?
Oh, like aliens seeding our life here on Earth? No, and I was convinced by the paleontologist, if it took 4 billion years for life on Earth to evolve to this level of awareness and intelligence, then the likelihood is that any other planet that's in a similar situation is only going to have evolved life about as far as we have. So it's hard to think of, life having evolved from nothing like it did on, from chemicals, from complex chemicals on rocky planets in over 4 billion years. It's hard to imagine that any other planet got further than that. Maybe somewhere out of the multiverse, maybe, and there's an older universe, then I suppose that could happen. But I don't really think that that's, if we ever find other lives, they're going to be more or less as advanced as we are.
Well, I mean, off of that, I think, we're pretty close. We might have even done this where, like, simple single cell organisms with the chemicals. I'm not super ahead of this, but if you're talking about super simple life, I think it's probably not that hard to think of.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, and then we're probably not that far away from synthesizing something like that on a simple level, I guess, since we know how it happened. It could probably happen in a lab at some point. We create our own amoeba or nematodes or who the hell knows what. Yeah, world religion, sociology, and psychology courses in college awakened me from my evangelicalism, NCMB 80. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's all about education. You know what I mean? And it's studies show the more educated someone is, the less likely they are to be religious. And that's really all there is to it. Religion is the end of education. It used to be that religion really did. I mean, we might not have gotten where we were if it weren't for some religious efforts or educational efforts by monks, for instance. We all know that a priest figured out the Big Bang. So they weren't always opposites, but realism, I should say, is really the end of knowledge. And to me, it's like looking backwards through a telescope when you try to find more knowledge out of something like the Bible. People go back and read it and try to find more knowledge there. You're looking the wrong way for knowledge.
Thoughts on Ramadan or other religious holidays?
You know what? I'm reading the Quran now. As a matter of fact, I got it right here, and I don't know much about Ramadan, to be honest with you. But religious holidays are what they are. That's the way that those religions mark the special times of the year and the things that God did for them. So as long as adults keep it to themselves and they don't try to indoctrinate little tiny kids to the fact that it's true, I guess I don't have any problem with people celebrating their religious holidays if that's what they want to do.
How long have you been a standing atheist?
Have I been a standing atheist?
Yeah.
I've been an atheist basically since I was, in college, I guess. Dr. Chauchene 94 says he's an ex-Muslim and people still treat him like he's a Muslim. That's what I'm getting out of this TikTok is the Muslims are really fanatical about simply believing in God, and I don't mean fanatical in terms of terrorism or fundamentalism or extremism. I mean they really don't like it when people simply deny the existence of God at all. So I really feel bad. It's tough to be an ex-Muslim. I can see that, and I'm really, really proud of everybody who goes out and does that. So stick to your guns, man, and good luck. And don't try not to spend a lot of time in Pakistan where you might get dragged out in the street and murdered for being an atheist, buddy. But yeah, I feel your pain. It looks like it's ugly to try to be an ex-Muslim, and they just deny. You're still a Muslim. You're still a Muslim. They're hoping. They're just hoping, man. They don't want to lose numbers. They really think they're going to take over the world with that shit. My philosophy of religion teacher who was Catholic convinced me God can't exist. Wonderfully unbiased. Oh, my philosophy of religion teacher who was a Catholic convinced me God can't exist. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of enlightened Catholics I find, and I'm not sure how to justify that with the fact that they stay Catholic, but I've met priests who I know are atheists, and it comes from a lifetime of study, and that's their job for one thing. They got to make a living, and for another thing, they feel an obligation to the community. People look up to them and are looking for comfort and guidance in the way that a psychologist might give a patient, or a tutor might give a tutee. And so they minister to the flock the best way that they can without coming out and saying, well, it's not really true. But, you know that in the back of their minds, a lot of them are very, very enlightened. I'm not going to try to gloss over that. I'm impressed by that, especially I think in Catholicism. As you say what you want about Catholicism, because it sucks hard, but they have engendered a lot of enlightened thinkers, a lot of seminarians who come out of that with a clear thinking mind. So good on that guy for doing that for you.
How should I come out as an atheist to my parents?
Hey man, I don't know your parents. You know what I mean? You got to pick and choose your time and judge by what you know about them, how they're going to react. But you got to be honest. At some point, you might want to just wait until you don't need to live in their house anymore. And there's a couple of questions waiting for me in the Q&A. Kids who are like, my parents are forcing me to stay going to church, even though I have religious trauma and I don't want to be there anymore. But if you got to live with your parents, you might have to do what they want while you live under their roof. It's not gonna. You can, if they're being forceful with it, you can try to make the point that it's only going to drive you further away. And you can sit in Catholic church and pray to a different religion or no religion at all. While you're there and try to pass the time. I know it seems like forever. I remember being 16, 15 and 16 and 14 and be like, oh my God, when am I going to be old? And it seems like forever at that age, but it won't. It'll go faster than you think, and you'll be out and you'll be on your own. But I encourage you to do it. Come out to your parents if you don't think that they're really going to freak out or lose their own shit over it, or be harmed themselves psychologically. Tell them, because that's the only way we're going to normalize atheism. Islam is the most dangerous religion in the world. Yeah, probably, because it's the biggest, or it's damn near the biggest, and it really relies on abusing the minds of the gullible and talking them into doing things. As we've all seen, without equating Islam with terrorism, we've all seen that Islamic fundamentalism leads to a greater level of actual violence, I think, than any other religion, and just the fact that there's so many of them and they're so disenfranchised. Many of them are so rich that they know they can, take advantage of the other ones too. So I can't disagree with that, honestly. And that's, people can make what they want. I don't really give a shit.
How can we
the hat's comfortable. I got to tell you, I wear this. She loves. Got it, and that's all right. Sorry, no, getting comments on the hat. Yeah, I got it from the Evil of Amazon, and it's nice. It's cotton, and it's not like a shitty toy hat. It's really comfortable, and it keeps the rain off your head if you need to go out. I do get some looks, but hey, man, I don't care. Hey, baby. You were born Muslim. I left Islam 5 years ago. I find out it's just it is ridiculous bullshit. I mean, there's no question about it. And when you read, the history of how Muhammad basically used violence to take over the Arabian Peninsula in the 600s, forced through war. After he lost a battle or two, he came back with a bigger army, and he basically, won wars and made people accept Islam as the terms of surrender. He didn't ask for much else other than that, but he did ask for that. So people who say Islam is a religion of peace are in fundamental denial of how Islam started. It started by somebody putting people to the sword, beating armies back, taking over cities, and forcing the people to accept the new religion. Thank you. I didn't say who said that, but someone said I looked handsome. Oh, so touched. God is real. Yeah, okay, buddy. Chicagoland real estate. If you believe God is real, then that guy's got some Florida swampland to sell you. God is my friend. Yeah. Sky Daddy isn't real. No, he isn't. Yeah. He used a sword to spread out Islam. He did. There's just no question about it. That's history. We kind of know that Muhammad was real and he did what he did. Jesus, not so much. But there's no stories about Jesus like storming cities with armies and forcing Judaism on people or whatever his cult was at the time. But that's definitely what Muhammad did. Prove it. Yeah, you prove it. It's a rock. Prove he's not real, huh? Do you know who Greg Graffin is? No. Many Muslims would disagree with you, but I don't care. Who gives a fuck what Muslims disagree with? They're all deluded believers. They don't, disagree with me about Muhammad. Those are historic facts. They're going to pretend he didn't. He wanted Mecca back, and he took it by force, period. One Christian argument I keep hearing over and over, something can't come from nothing. God, am I sick of that bullshit. Read a fucking science book, man. And just because you don't understand it, or I don't understand it, doesn't mean God did it. That's just more God of the gaps crap. That and free will, good thing. Why do good things happen to bad people? All that bullshit. That's such crap. If you lived in Chicago in 1850, right after Chicago was founded, the chances of your child living to age 5 were less than 50%. And that was in, a modernizing country at that point. What about other parts of the world that are even poorer? Before medicine, God was killing our children on an industrial scale. But now, today, they all live for the most part. So, what's God doing different than, at some point, he really hated our kids and now he doesn't, no, the whole good things happen to bad people argument is such bullshit. Chicagoland real estate, you can go suck an egg, man, because we're not arguing about with the burden of proof. Burden of proof is not on people who don't believe in God. Somebody made up a concept that no one can point any evidence to, but would the rest of us have to prove it? Go away. Thanks, that makes sense to me too, but that doesn't mean much. Where's my whistle, man? Oh my gosh. I said gosh like a Christian, like I care what God thinks of the word we use for him. Bad Religion. Yeah, you know what? Bad Religion is, I didn't know that was the dude's name, but we know Bad Religion. They played the first Reason Rally, and they were right there ready to do the second one, and we wanted different bands. So, we ended up going a different way, if anyone knows that story. But yeah, Bad Religion. I love punk rock. You can't beat it. Religion is a curse. Yeah, it sure is, but not for everybody. Adults who need it to get through the night, that's their business. If it helps them stay off of the booze or the heroin, and Jesus is a hard drug too, man. But, you might last longer as a believer than as a meth head. So, I don't take that away from people. So some people would argue that religion is a curse, but I think on society we've identified it as a net negative, and that's not too surprising and not too hard to see. Islam has a dark history. It's got a dark future too. I got a feeling. Do I think the world will be a better place without religions? Yeah, organized religion has been shown to have outlived its usefulness, which of course is meant to control people. But I think we're past that, and religion, all it does is breed hate, hypocrisy, the kind of judgmentalism that no one really needs in society. And I know I'm judging religion. I judge it every day. I judge it to suck. They teach psychology students to just let believers believe if it brings comfort to them, comfort and no harm. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That my issue when it comes to that is the indoctrination of children. And studies show, you can look up the studies, when you indoctrinate a little kid to some religious faith before they're old enough to argue about or question it in a deductive manner, they lose, a lot of times they lose the ability to tell truth from fiction, to tell fact from fiction. That's not me talking. Those are studies. You can look them up. It's not in dispute. And a lot of people don't have it affect them terribly. It didn't affect me, but again, I went to a nice liberal church that taught, reasonable skepticism. So I got lucky, and some people are just smart enough and their cog disc takes over and they say this is bullshit. But some kids are messed up forever from it. And that, if you don't think that's child abuse, to rob a kid of his or her critical thinking skills, then you're a putz and a loser, all right? Indoctrination of religion to little kids is fucking wrong. Plain ass wrong. Hence the Republican Party. Poor Republican Party, man. I'm old enough to remember when the Republican Party was not the party of douchebaggery, They were centrist. They were trying to get shit done. They had some more conservative fiscal values, which I'm fine with. They weren't the party of ridiculous hate ideology that they are today, and pandering to the religious right, and everybody has to be pro life, and everybody has to be a Christian nationalist, or you can't be a Republican. I miss those days, you know. And the Democrats I don't love any better, you know. I chose the lesser of two evils to put a little bit of my politics out there. Because I think the Republicans just went over the top, and they're using religion as a cudgel against the rest of us. And I don't want to live in Iran or Pakistan, which is where we're headed if we let those mutton-headed Christian zealot fundamentalist fuckwits start legislating and start making laws. You know, the Supreme Court. I'm happy that they seem a little bit cooler than we thought they were going to be, because the orange guy really stacked it with you know, Christian evangelical type of thinkers. You know, and it could really affect us for generations. How bad was this shot shot in the pants? I'm not sure what that means. Jesus was a liberal philosopher, not a conservative prophet. Yeah, Jesus was absolutely. He was a socialist, for God's sake. He took fishes and fed everybody with them. He shared what he had. He gave away his material wealth. He didn't. He was a communist. He probably lived on a kibbutz in Judea, you know, Palestine. Any thoughts out there on that situation? I never understood this. People take me to task too for not giving it to the Jews enough, and you know, it's because most Jews are atheists these days, and they're not really our problem. They're not fighting us, but I do blame them for giving rise to the other shitbird religions, Islam and Christianity. So the Orthodox Jews out there who still count the days from creation, you're all giving power to the young Earth creationists who are fucking with the education system in the country. Who is it? That was the other one, right? Isn't Arkansas? They passed a law they're going to allow creationism to be taught alongside evolution, to be the first state to go that way. When it's already been ruled religion by the Supreme Court more than once. My thoughts on Buddhism. Go ahead and jump in, Jason, if you need to. My thoughts on Buddhism are, it's overrated. Buddhism has serious problems with sexual abuse in the East in temples, and demagogues here in the West taking advantage, like the Maharishi did in India. I guess he was a Hindu. I'm not equating him with Buddhism, but these religious leaders who just use their position to mac on women or whoever they want to get over on and have sex with, and end up running these sex clinics and using people who look up to them, using their power against those people in order to sleep with whoever they want. Again, goes back to how I started this whole conversation. Free Palestine. Yeah, I got to agree with that. I think it was arbitrary that we just took that land away from those people, and it's probably part of their own fault in a little way because they weren't organized enough, and they were, but I'm not sure about that, so I don't want to talk like that's a fact. But it always bugged me that, the England and America basically decided that we could just take that piece of desert and give it to the Jewish people because of what they'd been through, which is horrible. No one's saying they didn't deserve some kind of reward for making it through the Holocaust. But the Palestinians got the shaft. They got the long end of the shaft right there. Free Palestine. I love the Christians who believe in fear. Well, I don't know if you believe in fear, but that's what they, the whole thing is based on fear. You're going to go to hell if you don't buy this bullshit. So, fear-based religion, not a good way to go. I'd much rather pick a fun, loving, happy religion if I had to be forced into one. Whatever. Do I not hear you? Do I not hear you, Jay? You can throw one out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm on a roll, and I seem to be reading them fast enough to keep talking. So.
How can you introduce atheism to others without rejection? That's a good question.
Well, you're an atheist, first of all. Come out as an atheist and tell them you don't need the fear of, eternal hellfire to be a good person, and you understand as a moral obligation to be good to others. You wouldn't want them being shitty to you. So, that's the way, by example, for one thing, instead of being preachy, because we see that doesn't work. And I learned it with my older daughter. I tried to, tell her that atheism was the way, and before I had really given it much thought, and realized later that that's just indoctrination in its own way. So my younger kids, I didn't do that, and I think it's better. Just show them that you're a good person and that atheists are out there, more of us than you think, or at least the extremely non-religious, and you don't need the fear and the guilt and the fear of eternal punishment. If you need that to know that you shouldn't murder somebody or abuse children, then you got bigger problems than religion. If I had to be forced into one religion, what would it be? Probably Rastafarianism. You don't like the
Who actually
reincarnation
wrote?
thing? Florida Charlie says. I don't know. That's probably the best part of Buddhism. You might get to come back and be cooler. I just don't think it's real. But yeah, Buddhism, as far as just looking for enlightenment and trying to be the best person you can be, that's cool. Go ahead, Jay. What do you got?
They asked who actually wrote the Bible.
You're not alone, Amanda. Who actually wrote the Bible? Yeah, I saw that one go by. It wasn't Moses. They figured that out, and we talked about that in a video that'll be coming out. But I'm not sure. Who wrote the Bible? The Bible was written in Greek by the New Testament was written in Greek by not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The Pauline letters were mostly written by Paul. I think that's pretty well documented. But since they took it away from Moses, they took authorship away from Moses. I'm not sure who they attribute it to, if they even know. They just historians agree that Moses didn't write the Old Testament, like we all grew up thinking. Spiritual is overrated as well. I don't know. Everybody says that it's such a vague concept. I mean, I get the idea that we want to be more connected, to that part of our psyche that we don't really understand, and you feel a wonder, and a connection to the universe and to nature, and you want to explore that side of yourself. It's a form of mysticism in its way, I guess. So you want to be spiritual, but not. If Moses didn't exist, for one thing, but yeah, he was a Jew. He was circumcised. And he had a big, big schlong. But what do I do for a living? I'm a horticulturist. We own a landscape company here. Yeah, they know who wrote some of the Bible, Mama Bear. Like I said, I think the Pauline letters are pretty well documented as being from Paul, Saul of Tarsus. Hope God forgives me for the lies you're spewing. Hope God forgives you for trolling on an atheist channel. You obviously are interested, man. You like us, or you wouldn't be here, man. Go to a Christian channel where you can talk shit with other Christians. You wrote the Bible, Jeff the atheist troll. I do believe that, man, and you really got some people, Jeff. We love that guy. He's got some good vids. Follow Jeff the atheist troll. Shout out from the Philippines. Love the Philippines. Thanks for being here, man. Glad to see people overseas. What state are you in? What are you, a stalker? No, we're in Wisconsin. It's southeast Wisconsin here. I'm not gonna give out any specific directions, but we were party to some riots this last summer. I can tell you. It's raining, flooding, volcanic activity. Where? They took out all my illustrations. Why, man? Maybe they were shitty. I haven't seen your drawings. Are they good? Oh, the Bible. Yeah, man. There's probably some good stuff you could have. If Revelations had pictures, man, it'd be a lot cooler to watch. It'd be like psychedelic colors and stuff. Hey, Wisconsin check. Hey, Wisconsin. We're from Wisconsin here. Got that nasally accent. Cheeseheads. Mount Mayon. What's that mean? Thanks for putting on these live. Thank you. Thank everybody. I really, really appreciate it. We're so touched and so blown away that this has taken off like it has, and we're privileged that so many people are checking in. So yeah, you got any, Jay?
Yeah. What other punk bands do you like?
I grew up in the original punk era, man. There's no one like the Ramones. I love early XTC. I know people probably think of them as more of a pop band, but I'm a jam guy. They were my jam. Kind of intellectual punk rock from the day. Who else? I was never like a hardcore ass headbanging punk guy. I was more of that post punk new wave kind of thing. Love the Clash. Love Elvis Costello from the early days. That was my bit growing up. Hey, from the Bronx. Love New York City. Go Bronx. Fuck the Yankees though. I'm a Red Sox guy. Boston. I'm a Boston guy. But I do love New York. Love New York. Capital of the world, my friend. Philippines president is Duterte. Dirty Duterte. He misses Trump. He's in love with fat grandma Trump. Little dictators like big dictators. Trump loves Putin for a reason. And Putin, who, outlawed gay marriage. Everybody see that? Putin outlawed gay marriage, citing a belief in God is central to Russian society. And I'm like, what's fucking plain God have to do with it? You better quote a dogma, somewhere. Some. If you're just going to say God, then, that's a shitty reason. He doesn't believe in God either, any more than Trump did. How many of us can live in open atheists? Not many, you know. The question was how many of us can live as open atheists in our personal and professional lives, and sadly, it's not many. Make no mistake, my friends out there, atheism and secularism is the last civil rights movement, and I don't want to hear any shit about how we're not really suffering compared to other civil rights movements because we know that. All right, Black Lives Matter is taking over right now, and it's because racism against black people is still ongoing. And if you don't think that it is, then you're not paying attention. And we don't get abused in any kind of way like they do, and we're not getting shot in the back for being atheists, and we're not getting profiled by police for being atheists. But make no mistake, the discrimination against atheists is the last civil rights movement, and we're here to fight it until there is normalization and acceptance for atheists in the country, in this ridiculous Puritan country that we live in. Living with my Christian family is getting harder now that the kiddos are getting baptized. I don't know what that means. Whose kids? Your kids? Are religions cults? Religions are cults that the leader is dead. That's the definition of a religion. A religion is a cult that is still going, but the leader has died. Do you think the people in the Bible were like, oh my God, this this is so going to be in the Bible? Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. No, I don't think that. But that's funny. What is the most atheist-friendly country? Iceland, and I recommend going to Iceland. It's a beautiful place with the most gorgeous people in the world. They're absolutely gorgeous Viking beauties in Iceland, and the belief in God is statistically zero. I read somewhere in Iceland, and if it wasn't for like 12 months of winter, it'd probably be paradise. It's pretty dark there. It's not terribly cold because of the volcanoes, but what a cool place, Iceland. Go to Iceland, man. Getting told horrible. Yeah, all you want is to be accepted. That's all any of us want, without being told horrible things in response. First of all, you just need new friends. Get rid of the people that are around you and go to Portland or Boston. Where atheism is ostracized. If you live in Missouri or Arkansas or South Carolina, you're fucked, man. And it's probably not going to happen in any of our lifetimes where you're not going to take shit from somebody for being that. My nieces and nephews' parents use baptisms as a form of guilt to force good behavior. When you baptize babies, don't you? I mean, I guess, you can baptize older people, but when I think of baptism, I think of baptizing babies, and I'm not sure, if babies can't remember, I'm not sure how that hurts them, really. I mean, it's dumb. They do it, it's done for the parents, but I'm not sure how you use that like that, like they were saying, stop getting by, live in fearful state, stay fearless. That would be agnostic. How long have you been atheist? Since I was 20 or so, 18. It was a little bit of an evolution from about 16 when I stopped actually trying to follow the rules of the church and started like trying to get over on chicks and drink a little bit of booze now and again and party. I kind of gave up. A very good Christian. I guess I kind of believed in God in some form till maybe I was 19 or 20. I'm living in fear. Don't live in fear, buddy. Go ahead and throw one out if you got one, Jay. They should transition religious norms to community outings to provide that support and belonging. I'm not sure what that means.
So, someone asked, do your kids believe?
Yeah, I'm dealing with, my daughter is that age that I was just talking about. My oldest daughter is about the age that I quit that stuff, and she's got that college age kind of spiritual, where she believes that there's some greater power out there, and you try to access it the way that you can and make yourself better. And I think everybody kind of goes through one of those phases, I think, if you're not indoctrinated into strict dogma. Those phases, I think, if you're not indoctrinated into strict dogma. My younger kids, I have an 11 and a 12-year-old. The 11-year-old girl is really popular in her class, and so her friends are they're in North Carolina. Her friends are all religious, and so they talk to her about it too much. So I think right now she has kind of a default belief in God and a generic fear of hell that she doesn't take really seriously. But I can't call her an atheist. I think my son, he's a little too smart. He's a sharp kid, and I think he gets what we do here, and he pretty much is on board with the fact that it's all bullshit. So yeah, I get a yes and a no there.
Someone asked if you are going to write a book.
I don't have the patience to write a book. I've had a book swimming around in my head since I was a kid, and I don't know how people tie themselves to the typewriter and do that. Honestly, I have written a children's book or two that maybe I'll get around to publishing for atheists. Yeah, it's a short. I'm a poet. I write a lot of poetry, limericks, dirty limericks. I write. They're good. They're dirty. Ooh, are they dirty? They're nasty. But yeah, I don't have the patience to write a book, especially one about atheism. Where I have a couple of our friends have done that, and I try to read them, and I'm like, oh, you're really not a writer, are you, man? And it's just stuff I already know, and I feel like there's tons of that crap out there. There's tons of good books out if people really need to read a book about atheism. I'd much rather just spew at the mouth.
Tell them about the podcast then.
Kosher or halal food, yeah, a lot of that stuff is just dumb laws. The whole not eating cheese on a burger thing to be kosher. What the fuck is that about? Nobody wants a dry ass burger, but in some ways, I think it's healthier. But I got no interest in giving up shellfish. Kidding me? That stuff's delicious. Yeah, Satanism. We talked about that. I love Satanism. Those guys are great. Not, yeah, dirty. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll share a limerick with you, Mama. They're filthy. We love our dead grandparents. Yeah, I love my dead grandparents too, and they believed. Yeah. What could society provide as a substitute for the positive side of organized religion? What are you talking about? Like community? Like somebody else got to, if church goes away, like how do you? It's bad for communities because communities used to sort of feel obligated to get together and get along in a civil manner on Sunday. And I'm like, start an atheist group. We have atheist groups, and we do highway cleanups, and we do coat drives, and we do everything that churches can do. So as society changes, people who need that, will find it in their own ways. I think most atheists don't crave that need. The old herding cats thing. A lot of us just don't. We don't miss that much. So I think it might never happen on the level that church people have it. But again, that's a reason why religion will probably never die completely. Those adults who really want it, they're always going to have the right to get together and have a potluck dinner down at the church and play some organ music and and say a prayer, and maybe they don't even believe it that much, but it makes them feel good about having folks who think alike. Religious cinema, I have a hard time watching most of that shit, except for really really good ones like The Last Temptation of Christ. I'm a big Scorsese fan, and that was a great movie. But the religious movies like God, this Kevin Sorbo shit. I'm a cinemaphile. I love movies. I love watching well-made movies, and I see so many movies that I have no patience for shitty movies. And most of those movies are shitty on an epic scale. If I wasn't an introvert, yeah, I mean, make a community group for introverted atheists, and you can all sit around and avoid each other's stare. No, I'm not an introvert, as you might be able to tell. And I've learned a lot of things about introverts since I've been in this, and hopefully you can find people that feel similarly and don't make you feel threatened in a group, and you can find some community there. Demon possession or jinns. Jinns I like because it's a great Scrabble word, and you can spell it with a D in front of the J, or you can spell it with one N. You can spell it, the plural's got an I at the end of it. You can really fuck some people up in Scrabble with that word. Other than that, no. I wish I could be possessed by a demon sometimes. I'd go wreak some havoc on some people if I could, but that's just all bullshit. You're great, Rob, if only you would speak your mind more often. Yeah, I have a real problem with that, don't I? What you got, Jay? Anything? Tell us a story. Tells us a story. Create a story. Yeah, maybe some other time. I've never been that guy who just comes up with fiction off the top of his head. But I can talk, So, ghost serial killers, hit or no go? I don't get what that means. Ghost monsters or serial.
Here's a question. Did your kids come home with religious questions from school or friends?
Well, I got into it with the school district here because my kids learned about God from the music teacher when Thanksgiving came, and this put to music. Thank you for the world so sweet. Thank you for the food we eat. Thank you for the birds that sing. Thank you, God, for everything. And I remember like that as a prayer when I was a kid. It's a common kid's prayer, and the teacher thought it would be good to just put that to music, or found it put to music, and use it as a Thanksgiving, you know, song. And I hit the roof. My kids had not, like I said, my younger kids, I didn't even talk to them about God. I just wanted to see how far they'd go in life without hearing about it on the playground, which they would have sooner or later. And the fucking school did it, man. That's what started me off into atheist activism, when I realized that the public school district was complicit in Christian nationalism and this kind of forced conformity when it comes to belief. And they, the teachers like that don't think there's anything wrong with it. They're like, why can't I teach my morality to kids? I'm just making better kids. And they don't get it. They're not even necessarily bad people. They just don't get it. If I did a Muslim teacher and some Christian kid went home a Muslim or an atheist, I'd be fired before Ramadan. That's not even a question. But Christian teachers can do it whenever they want. And if you're not paying attention, they will do it. Guarantee it. I've seen it more than once. More than once. Yeah, that's an ugly thing. Can I ask where you were located? We're in Southeast Wisconsin. Already covered that. I know people come and go on these things. We're still getting used to TikTok. I predate social media, so I'm not terribly clever at it all. Religion is shoved into schools, laws, billboards. Yeah, it's everywhere. The underpinnings of many of our laws are because of the Puritan background. What do you think all the funeral laws are about? They're all based on Christian dogma. All of that shit. So there's a lot of laws that were written with that in mind. And that's just because the country was 95% Christian for so long. Invitation to go live together, Jay? What's that? Decline, accept? Should we decline for now? Oh, it went away. I didn't decline that. Sorry, I'm not necessarily against it. Maybe try that again some other time. I asked my theology teacher to explain why Catholic is the only right religion, and she said she couldn't. Nice. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, that's a smart religious person in that way, at least. Questioning the fam. I love that name. Your fam's religious. We don't have enough followers yet on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. When we get to 1,000, we can go live. Well, we could do it from the desktop, can't we, Jay?
Yeah. We could do it from your webcam.
Yeah. Someone outed us. We're in Kenosha. He said what we, because we're right down the road from the riots. After Jacob Blake got plugged 8 times in the back by a local cop. But that's what's up in Kenosha. You don't have to be black for the cops to shoot your ass. They'll shoot you for anything in Kenosha. It's been well known for a long time. Yeah, Ken Ham and Bill Nye. Yeah, that Ken Ham is so stupid that it's laughable. He's just like, I have this, and he's just holding the Bible up, and Bill Nye's like spewing facts at him. Met Bill Nye. He's a great. What he does is great. He's a douche in real life. I gotta out him for that. He was a douche, and then he turns it on when the crowd's around, and he's got to turn it on and be Mr. Guy. He's all smiles and nice, but if you get him alone and try to talk to him, nah, douchebag. But I gotta love what he does. He's a science popularizer, and I can't argue. We need more of that. Any tips for youths with strict religious family? Yeah, if you're trying to be an atheist and you live in a strict religious family, like I say, you got to do your best to get by. You'll be able to move out on your own soon. Try to talk to them calmly about the fact that them being forceful with their religion makes you want it even less. That's human nature with anything. You hide the booze from the kid and tell him he can't have it, and he sees you having a good time with it. What do you think's going to happen? That's just human nature. And unfortunately, Christian Puritans in this country and hardcore Catholics aren't very good at figuring that shit out. So they try to cram it down your throat, and if you're young, you're going to have to live with them for a few more years. Just do your best. Get through it. Don't try to make waves if it's going to cause you problems, because it's only going to cause more stress on you. Just smile and nod and know that you are smarter than them, and they already know that you're smarter than them, and that's part of what scares them. People who say they felt the Lord's Spirit, well, they probably did. I feel like I get goosebumps from this and that. It's not magic. It's not the Lord. And people who think that they feel the Lord's Spirit, I mean, that's part of what goes with that whole thing, right? If you think that the Lord's out there and you think that He's doing things, you can convince yourself to feel a lot of things. But who am I to tell people what they feel? Just don't fucking jam it down people's throats. Don't teach it to kids like it's true. Feel all the spirits you want. Yeah, Ken Ham got some bad skin too, doesn't he? Ugly fucker. But I think Kentucky's taking it up the booty, aren't they? With their with the two museums that they let his ass open. I heard that the Creation Museum has like dogs and guards with like German shepherds and guns to like blow people away if they like are snarky when they see the display of like kids riding dinosaurs or whatever the hell they have down there, and that tax funded lie. The fuck is Kentucky's so fucked up, man? For a beautiful state, it's gorgeous, God's country. Sick. That's God's country down there, and man, are those people stupid. God Almighty. Mitch McConnell, chinless piece of shit. Preparing to escape strict parents, make and save money. Yeah, make solid friends outside the religion, and just try to be smart and plan, and don't get yourself spanked. You got one, Jay?
Well, I got a story you could tell. As someone mentioned that religion is shoved into schools, laws, and billboard. Made me think of the atheist billboard. You want to talk about that?
One we put up in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
They're talking about yeah. That was in conjunction with American Atheists back when Dave Silverman was in charge. If anybody knows his story, that's a crazy trip that he's taken. But he did help us get an atheist billboard in Milwaukee that made all the news channels. It had a picture of a little girl writing her list to Santa, and on the right side of the picture was of the billboard was a picture of her writing her list, and on the other side was the list itself, and it said, "Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is to skip church." And man, did people lose minds. I mean, people were calling in and swearing they were going to get it taken down, and it was disgusting, and it was horrible, and the news interviewed me. All 4 news stations from Milwaukee interviewed me about it. It made a huge splash. So I encourage atheist group. If you have an atheist group out there, it costs us, I think, $1,300 for a week around Christmas. If it's an off season and it's not a city like Milwaukee, you can get one put up for a couple $100, $500-600 maybe for a week on one of those digital billboards where it revolves. And you'll have fun with that. Boy, that's a good way to get the message out there and at least get exposure, because you're going to get brutalized. The Christians they lose their shit when they see that, and that's fun too. So put up a billboard. Opinion on Islam: Islam sucks meat. What else you got, Jay?
Do you believe that religion, specifically Abraham religion, is to control the masses?
Yeah, I mean that's a part of it. A part of it is genuine comfort myths for people to feel better. A part of it is a genuine desire to answer questions in the age before science. Religion really was proto-science in my mind at some point, but it quickly became a crowd control tool for demagogues and people who were in charge and realized that they could control people, and not all of that was bad. I mean, a little bit of rules in society went a long way when you were wandering around the desert with a million people and trying to keep some social order going. So, it's hard to argue with some of that, but we're past that need now, and all it does now is make people hate the other. Whoever doesn't belong to my religion is wrong and bad and going to hell. Nobody needs that crap. Yeah, I do. I think there'll be a time when we won't have to deal with our government being influenced by religion, and we can help that right now by calling out the politicians. Make sure that they know that you're out there. They have a secular base that doesn't give a shit about their pandering to the religious right, and I think the Republicans made a big mistake by putting all their eggs in that basket, and they ended up losing the election because of it. And I think we're going to see in the near future that politicians stop doing that so much, because it clearly isn't needed anymore. If you put all the non-religious people together, those are the people who don't care about religion. They might think that there's a God still, but they don't care about religion. If you include those in the nons, we're the biggest demographic. We're bigger than any other religious minority, bigger than the Catholics, bigger than the evangelicals. So if once those people realize that, they'll stop running on it, and that's the first step. Also, go ahead and question your politician. If you get a chance to be at a rally and you get to ask a question, ask the Christian politician whether he bases his decisions more on evidence and fact or more on his imaginary friend. You don't have to phrase it like that. Say, do you pray? Oh yes, of course I believe in God. I pray. Okay. Do you use that prayer and the answers you get from the prayer? Do you use that to make your decisions in setting public policy more than you use evidence and facts? Which one would you say? And ask them straight out and put them on the spot, and you see how fast they back off of that shit. Well, I believe in separation of churches. You get it right away, boy. I'll tell you, because none of them want to lose your vote. And when they realize there's more of us out there than they thought, they'll stop it. You met people who don't believe in religious trauma. What the fuck is that about? I mean, all you got to do is read the comments on TikTok atheist pages to see people are traumatized by religion. That's ludicrous. Who would think that? There's somebody who's traumatized by everything, for one thing. Religion just happens to be one of the big ones. When you tell them to go to hell, when you tell little kids they're going to go to hell, that causes trauma in little kids. And they go to sleep scared at night. We used to have to go to bed, and my mom would teach us this prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. If I should die before I wake, I'm 6 years old, and I'm laying in bed going, what if I die before I... Who the fuck teaches their kids to say that? Of course religious trauma is true. All the prophecies of Muhammad and all the things he predicted, no, I don't know that yet. I'm reading the Quran now. But Muhammad was a smart dude. Nobody can deny that. He was a demagogue. He was a smart dude. But, prophecies, come on. All the things that came true. Muslims on ex-Muslims who speak about their religion. Yeah, I can believe that. They just want you to accept what they accept. If you don't, it challenges their acceptance, and they don't want to be challenged. They don't want to think that anybody out there might have an idea that makes theirs, calls theirs into question. They don't have the mental capacity. And again, that's a weakness of faith. If your faith isn't strong enough to take ex-Muslims, then your faith isn't shit. What is the Keepers exactly about? What is that, the Oath Keepers? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That's a Netflix show. I think they're talking to somebody else.
Oh yeah. See, I'm bad at this. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of the Amish?
I think the Amish are hiding sexual abuse on a ridiculous scale, and I think exposed recently. There was a couple of brothers who got arrested, and it turned out that the father and the brothers were just like having sex on the sister whenever they wanted, and I think that goes on so much more than people know. So the Amish have been getting a pass because they seem so peaceful and so quaint, and they make nice furniture, and they drive horse buggies down the street, and we all go, I got a buggy. I got a horse. Yeah. But yeah, that's some creepy ass shit, man. Believe it.
Would you prefer to be buried or cremated after you die, and why is it against Christianity to be cremated?
It's not against Christianity. It's against Catholicism. I know a lot of Christians who've been cremated. Protestants don't necessarily have a problem with cremation. Yeah, I'd prefer to be cremated and spread my ashes somewhere where they might help a stalk of corn grow or something. Taking up ground with with bodies. I know a libertarian atheist who thinks we should dig up all the graveyards right now and start doing something else with that land because it's a ridiculous waste of land. Absolutely, yeah. Burial is with the amount of people in the world now. I mean, it wasn't much of a thing back in the day, but as overpopulated as we are now, burial is it needs to stop. It really does. A nun that gets murdered by a priest before she could report him. So he's a molester and a murderer. Yeah, that guy's good. That's a good priest. You want him. The Amish pretty much qualify as a cult. Yeah, I think there's different. There's Mennonites and Luddites, and people say Amish and they kind of group a lot of sects together. I think, but yeah, I can't disagree that they're a cult. Is God real? What kind of question is that? Atheist live chat. God real. Yeah, God's real as far as the concept goes. We talked about that earlier. You're never going to escape the concept. So he's real as an idea. If you're like, hey, you're talking about God, so you're validating his existence. No, we're not. We're talking about a man-made concept and the fact that it's, indoctrinated generation after generation of people to the idea doesn't mean it's real, and doesn't mean we can't talk about it without, that meaning that it's real because we talk about it. No, and we're never going to get rid of the concept. It's older than any of us by billions of years. Billions, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, come on. I've always wondered if God is real. When you find some proof, you let me know. The severity of shunning alone qualify. What's that? The cult thing? Yeah, I think so. Do I watch the Atheist Experience? I don't. I don't. I honestly don't have time with everything we do. Work, especially now it's spring, and I'm a landscaper. For God's sake, I don't have. There I go with the for God's sake, just expressions that come out of your mouth. But I wish I had more time to watch. I love Matt Dillahunty. Met him, partied with him, had a good time with the guy, and love the way he thinks. But I don't watch. I don't. I just don't have time. You got something, Jay?
Someone asked about the Satanic Temple again.
Yeah, those guys are great. Those guys are great. The Lucian Greaves. I've interviewed him. He's got a great bit going there. He really hit a home run with all of that. And I interviewed another guy from original Anton LaVeyan's Satanism, and the guy's a prick. But they're two different things. The Satanic Temple's getting all the publicity these days because they pull stunts. It's atheism with a gimmick, I like to say. Spicy atheism, others like to say, but they don't believe any of that crap is real. They just believe in self-improvement, a healthy amount of hedonism, I think, and trying to make the best of yourself while you're here on the planet. And they also take advantage of the fact that if Congress is going to allow Christians to do things they shouldn't do that are unconstitutional, then Satanists are going to get their point across by making sure that Satanists are allowed to do it too. And that drives Christians through the roof and ends up in them pulling the Christian shit down. I think the Satanists handed out Satanist coloring books at some school once. Did Jay? Did you hear about that? Where they
no.
Yeah, somebody, because you can give away, in the after school packets that kids get, you can give away your Christian we have a Christian group and you can advertise it that way. And as long as they let everybody do that, they have to let the Christians do it, but they can't let the Christians do it and then not let somebody else do it. So I know that the Satanists went around and provided Satanist coloring books with Baphomet and ugly demons that you can color in and draw. And I think that's great. And it's a great bit they have going.
Well, it reminded me of the
Freemasonry. The Freemasons are bigots and racist from the day. I mean, that's I don't know much about it because it's it's a secret society, right? My grandpa was a Freemason, and he got his ring one Christmas, and my grandma gave it to him in a box, and he was so happy. And but it's like a cult of its own, really, for old white guys, as far as I can see. What do I think about Islam? Again, with the Islam questions, Islam sucks. Islam is a danger to the world. It's crazy. And the people who defend it was it's such an incredible revelation. All the science that's in the Quran. People weren't stupid in the 600s. Arabs were as smart as anybody in the 600s, and they'd already discovered a lot of shit. They knew a lot of shit. And Muhammad read the Christian Bible. He read the Jewish Bible. He read everything he could and incorporated it into the Quran. So I don't buy any of that crap. That's for sure. Satanist coloring books haven't been in Oregon, I believe. Yeah, probably. Oregon's awesome. I haven't been. There's two or three states I haven't visited, and that's one of them. Got to go. Got to get me to Oregon. Good evening, the Matt in the Hat. I love that name, man. Where's your hat? You got it, Jay?
I don't see any. I was thinking of the maybe talking about when you gave that government is the convocation where you talk the prayer before the government.
Yeah.
How does one do that?
How does one do what? Oh yeah, just go down to your city hall and ask them to give, if they have a prayer. Some places don't. Probably Oregon's got some cities that don't, but a lot of these towns will open their city council or their town hall meeting or whatever they have for the city, local government with a prayer, and they've got to let other religions do it, and that includes atheism as a minority who can go and give the invocation at the beginning. And I did it here in town, and it was great. They were respectful. They listened, and I wrote a really nice piece based on let the council's decisions based on evidence and fact, and made some reference to the founders, and it was nice. It was gratifying, and I've got a tape of it somewhere. You could probably post that on YouTube, Jay, if we haven't already.
Yeah,
it might be there. It might be on the YouTube channel if you search for it. But yeah, I encourage everybody. Thanks for that reminder. That's a great one for everybody to do. If you're an atheist in a town that does that, go and do it. And if they don't let you, you can sue the fuck out of them. Arkansas here. I'm a critical thinker, and I hate it here because of Cult 45 and religious notes. Cult 45. I love that. It's like Cult 45. Malt liquor. Yeah, sorry you're in Arkansas, man. Arkansas is a place that you should go camping in the summer and stay the fuck away from the rest of the year. It's brutal. In Missouri, it's the same thing. Missouri, Arkansas, they might as well make one state. Missouri, Arkansas. Missouri's pretty though, too. So is Arkansas. I mean, I've been there. Love me the Ozarks. And Ozark's a great show, man. Can't wait for the new season of Ozark. Talk about a good show on Netflix. Woo! That's a fabulous show. What you got? Anything, Jay?
I don't see one. Someone mentioned. Oh, here we go. Do you think the world would be a better place without religion?
Yeah, I do. Without organized religion, yeah, for sure, I do. And I think that we see that in the social utopias of Europe: Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, Iceland, places like that. That you don't need religion to be a good society. We have an evolved sense of empathy and morality, and Missouri is misery. Hey, I'm Jewish. Yeah, that's cool. We love our Jewish friends. They mostly don't believe in God anymore, but if you do, that's cool. Have you ever considered doing a speaking tour? Yeah, I hope to get there. As a matter of fact, I'd like to be doing full-time atheism as a job eventually. Unlikely I'm going to be able to retire doing what I'm doing, so I'm going to have to switch over. Where I'm not so physical, but yeah, I've done some speaking, lots of speaking actually, but hope to get to do more. Maybe when COVID, lets us start going around again and the atheist conventions come up, I'll start pushing to do that because I know all those people from everywhere. I can be like, hey man, when are you going to let me speak? I can speak without stopping. if religion weren't a thing, what's you talk about? Well, I talk about my dirty limericks. I talk about my poetry. I talk about films. I'm a big cinemaphile. I like music. I like gourmet food. I cook. I cook my ass off. I cook some fine ass food. Love that. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot more going on. It's just I see a need out there right now, and I've been burned. I had a good religious upbringing. Personally, I don't feel burned personally by religion. I got lucky, but I see and I've been affected by what it does in society, and I think it needs to end. Do I think that Christians are oppressed? No, not yet. I hope they're oppressed more soon. No, I don't really think that, but no, they're not oppressed. They just think they're oppressed because people are starting to bark back now against their bullshit, and the crap that they've been able to get away with for years, and they don't see their privilege because it's just been that way for so long. We lived in a country that was so steeped in Christianity that nobody thought about it for long. And now that there's so much, there was once a man from Nantucket, but there's so many other minds and so many secular people, and such availability of knowledge on the internet to people that Christianity is dying, and so they feel the heat a little bit, and they don't like it when people speak up against the inherent hypocrisy found in the religion. No. Vashti, you did not miss any dirty limericks. I'm not going to say any of my dirty limericks here, but maybe I'll try to make them available. They're absolutely fabulous. They're rhyme and meter perfect, and they're dirty. If I didn't say that before, I'm going to say that right. They are dirty. Pick a dirty word, and I have made a limerick out of it. And if I haven't, then I will. I'll get around to it. Mill's an atheist here, big fan, cinemaphile. I just modern times. Modern times. Not sure what that one is. Yeah, the dirtier the better that is true. And limericks have to be dirty. That's part of it, you know. Why are Christians bent on oppression of others? You know, I don't know. I don't think they see it that way. It's about Christian universalism. You know, other religions aren't like that, but Christ came for everybody, so it's incumbent on them to convert people. You know, that's just part of their faith system, and they don't get that that's actually intolerance. To be not tolerant of other religions is the height of intolerance. So missionary work and evangelism is intolerant inherently. It's just one of the many, paradoxes about Christianity. Charlie Chaplin, love it. Times. That's what he's talking about. I need to watch more. You know what I did? I started going backwards, watching all the best Oscar winners throughout and I got, before I stopped, for whatever reason, I got back to like maybe 54, 53, 50, like Marty with Ernest Borgnine, who just died at like 99, a few years back. The movie he was in might have been the earliest one I got to. But I don't know enough about, you were a bowler, Matt? That's cool. Yeah, I don't, you're related. Carlin is related to Chaplin. Yeah, Buster Keaton, I've seen enough of the clips to know that stuff's genius. But sadly, I haven't seen enough of that like I should. No, I hated Dogma. I think a lot of Kevin Smith, right? I think a lot of his stuff is horribly written. The dialogue is forced and not natural at all. I like some of his movies. I like Zack and Miri. I'm like Mac and Ziri. And Office Space is pretty good. I like some of his movies, but Chasing Amy and Dogma were absolutely. I couldn't even get through 20 minutes. I thought they were terrible. Yeah, Groucho Marx is awesome. Definitely a hero of mine. Using religion to hide their lies.
Someone asked, do you have a favorite famous atheist?
Favorite famous atheist?
Yeah.
My favorite famous atheist, God. I mean, I love Hitchens like everybody. But again, I haven't read a ton of that stuff because I was already an atheist and I didn't read a lot of those atheist books that turn people atheists. I just didn't really need to, and I don't have time to read a lot. But everything I've ever heard him say or seen him do absolutely kills me. Love Hitch. What did I think of? I love, I grew up, my dad's a big sci-fi fan, and Asimov's great. I loved reading those, especially the short stories when I was growing up. Yeah, Sagan, I don't know, was he really an atheist? Kind of an agnostic. I think hard to call him a hardcore atheist with some of the, I think he was quoted as saying that you have to be a lot smarter than him to say there's no God, so I'm not sure that he's such a hardcore atheist. I don't mind movies with religious metaphors. You know what I mean? I kind of get, I get a kick out of picking out themes, and that have come from religion in movies and looking for, you know what, it's overly done. I actually get a kick out of that. I don't mind that. Yeah, agnostic is atheist without balls. I like saying agnostic is an atheist who's afraid of his mother-in-law. That's my favorite one. But it's basically true. Yeah. Do you think we'll get In God We Trust off our money? I have a $10 bill right here in the desk drawer without In God We Trust on it. I got it at the Freedom from Religion convention. The Freedom from Religion Foundation, because the last one that they had before COVID, it got canceled last year, but I actually won it in the raffle. That's pretty cool. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe not in our lifetime. The thing is, it's the fucking motto. They got it made into the motto. So we actually have two mottos. E pluribus unum is still technically a motto of the country, but yeah, In God We Trust is, for better or worse, right now is the national motto. So that one's going to be tough. It might take a while, probably sooner or later. In the future, people are going to Religious people are going to be a ridiculous minority in the far future. Relegated to like museum style status. Like when you like talk about pointing at the Amish people on their horses, that's what every religion is going to be like sooner or later. People just getting smarter in general, except for Islam. I saw somebody comment that UK is getting more Islamic. I think it's because people are moving there. I don't know how many people are converting, how many English people are converting to Islam, but yeah, that's a little scary. Then Islam is growing, but again, they're not growing in educated countries. They're growing in developing countries where there's a large populace of desperate people who will believe any story that gives them hope for the future. So that's a curve, I think, that'll end on its own. I hope. I'm an optimist, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I just said it. I am an optimist. Papa Sharts. Nice. That's Papa Sharts. Papa Sharts too much. Brown Laundry by Papa Sharts. Love the spice. What spice? Thanks for your content. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for joining. Jesus probably had PTSD from the crosses that people wear on their neck. What's up with that? What's up with the religion that uses the murder weapon of their savior as the icon of the religion? And what's up with the icon worship? The Bible says that you shouldn't worship false idols and iconry, right? It's against that, but yet, what's a cross? It's iconry. Bill Hicks had a joke about what? The most dangerous religion is the religion that people can't give up. But yeah, it's hard to say that Islam's not the most dangerous because it's so big, and we've seen the kind of violence that erupts from fundamentalism in Islam. In America, Christian fundamentalism is ugly, but at least they're not killing each other on a Sunni Shia scale, and they're not flying planes into buildings. They're just, I guess they kill each other softly. Killing me softly with his Christ, killing me softly. But yeah, how do you argue with that? I don't know. Somebody gonna tell me that there's probably cults somewhere that are a little more dangerous, but that's not really a religion. So yeah. Telling Jackie we were wearing rifle pins. Yeah, the JFK thing. Wearing rifle pins and telling Jackie we're sorry. Thank you. Yes, my Roberta Flack impression. Christianity is just cancer. It's a cancer on society. I can't agree more. It's a cancer. It needs to be cut out. It needs to be excised like a tumor. Thrown in the bin, thrown in the petri dish and studied for the fungus, for the infectious parasite that it is. Islam too. Yeah, can't argue. What was I going to say? I had a point to bring up before. You got any questions that went by, Jay, that you didn't see?
This one was a while ago. Someone asked about whether you watch Jesus Camp on YouTube.
I can't get through that. That's just. I know that crap goes on, and I don't need to scare myself with that. That just gives me, it kind of ruins my faith in humanity when I watch that kind of horrible indoctrination of kids. It's just brutal.
It made me think of the issue that you had with the summer camp or the camp school district.
Yeah, there's a camp in East Troy, Wisconsin called Camp Timberley, and it's run by a creationist ministry that they're part of their mission, their stated mission when you walk into camp, it's on the wall, is to make kids question evolution. And they've built a science center, and I use air quotes because it's about as unscientific as it gets, where they have a 6-room theater, I guess, where they go through the 6 days of creation. You can walk into a room, and I'm going to decline these because this is the first time we're doing this. Please don't be. Maybe we can do a duet going live at some other point. But this is the first time Jay and I are trying this as a dual live thing. So don't take offense at that, please. I might accept that in the future. But this camp is meant to, you send your kid there in the summertime because you're a Christian and you want them to learn this stuff, apparently. And it's $1 million facility. They got zip lines and hiking trails and canoe rides and all this great stuff. Any kid would want to go for the shit that they have. But the thing is that the local public school districts use that camp in the school year to send kids on an overnight trip, and it's a science trip. All right, and they don't teach them the science. They're not allowed to. Obviously, they don't cross that line because they know they'll lose the money because someone will sue them and they won't be able to. But what happens is the kids are then exposed to the idea because the stuff is all still right there, even though they're not actively teaching them creationism. They just teach them, physical topical science. Raccoons have masks and thumbs, and they can do stuff, and they wash their food or whatever, and they show you snakes and horses, and it's a fun trip for the fourth and fifth graders, but it's advertising for a creationist camp. So how is the school district in Wisconsin and beyond, places from Illinois use them too, and create publicity for a camp whose mission it is to teach creationism and make kids question evolution, which is mandated to be taught by the Wisconsin statute. The state statute mandates that schools teach evolution as the accepted theory for the development of life on Earth. So how do they do that? How do they get away with that? And I've been fighting that for years, but they won't cross a line that FFRF will sue them for because the lawyers feel that they can't win. So that's a tough one, but if you're in our area, pay attention to that. Camp Timberley in East Troy, Wisconsin. You can Google it and look it up. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting haven of creationist bullshit.
How did you become aware of it doing that?
Yeah, Adam and Eve aren't real. Of course, Adam and Eve aren't real. How could that be? I mean, we know when it started, and we know that Genesis was written as a metaphor. It was written by the storytellers who were writing down their oral traditions that every society has. Native Americans and pagans, and every society everywhere in the world. The Hawaiians have cool ones, creation myths. They're creation myths. Just because ours became the dominant one in the Western world doesn't mean it's real. And we know it's not real. You have to, if you're going to believe the Bible and believe it's the Word of God, then you have to believe that those are metaphors. And it tells us why God created life, because he loved us, and because it explains how human beings became sentient. In my mind, the story of Genesis is the story of how human beings came to be sentient when at some point people realized that our ancestors weren't as sentient as we are, or as cognizant as of themselves, and were more animal-like. And at some point we evolved a consciousness, and that to me is what the fruit of the tree of knowledge is. We became self-aware, and we became like God, and that made God angry. That's what that story's about. It's not about the actual way that three boys made all the rest of the people on the planet. It's absurd beyond belief to even think about it as literal. So yeah, Adam and Eve, just a story, bud. Yes, God's love invents fish that swim up the urethra because love. Right? I mean, come on. Just mosquitoes. I mean, please. The deadline to pay taxes right now is May 17th. What do you think of taxes? I hate taxes as much as everybody hates taxes. I'm basically a libertarian when it comes to that shit. I think we needed as little government as we can to get by with. But I think as a society we need to pay a certain amount of taxes. I don't think there's any way we can live without roads and an army to protect us from the Islamic hordes that are coming. Are you interested in early Christianity? Is it better than later? If it is, I'm interested. How do I get through my college religion class as an atheist? Well, learn about religion, man. Well, I took religion classes out the ass, and maybe not out the ass, but I learned about religion all through society. There's a reason all through school. I mean, there's a reason it's in the philosophy department and not the science department. Just remember that and get what you can out of it. If it's just one religion that they're teaching you, then you're in the wrong school probably.
Someone asked earlier, best way to tear down a religious person arguing with you about God.
Well, if they're hardcore, you can't. They're never going to listen to you, and they just double down on their bullshit. And the good ones are good at it. They've got their stories together, and if you to debate them, they'll tear holes in you. They've all got that. Wow, you believe something came from nothing, and that sounds like magic to me. So you believe in magic? They'll shove it right up your ass if you're not ready for it. So I don't try to argue with religious people very much. It's just, it's like talking to a rock. There's there's no reason to do it, honestly. Joel Osteen comes to mind for the worst mega preacher right now. I mean, he's just obviously in it to get rich, and he did it. He got rich, and he's selling self help in the form of religion. And remember that time he got drunk and called himself God? You know, we know that's in vino veritas, my friend. Truth came out there, didn't it? When yeah, rocks are. Get into geology. That is rocks. It is a professor that used to say rocks. He's from Wisconsin, and let's talk about rocks today. Bring out his little hammer. Bing, bing, bing. But yeah, I mean, what's more cool? You know, my dad was an earth science teacher, and there's nothing cooler than geology to me. Damian Coolio wants to have together. I'm declining these tonight. Please don't be offended. And come back and see us again, and we might want to do that. Jay and I'll talk about it. But this is our first time doing a live without producer Jay in the room. That's why I got a selfie today, and you can see my Devil Mountain sign behind me is backwards as proof that I'm doing this myself and reading these. Usually the camera's turned around on me, and he's right here reading the Q&As. So there's no Q&A tonight because of that, because I can't really. I guess I can look, right?
Yeah, you can try.
I can try. Where can we read these dirty limericks? On Tumblr, it's Dirty Dick's Limericks, and they've since Tumblr changed. I don't even visit it anymore. But it might still be there without the dirty pictures that I used to put with every limerick. I used to put filthy pictures with everyone. And if it's there, if they're out there, then they're still there. If they're not, someday I will publish them in a different format and get them back out there, because I read them too, and I read them in different accents. I have like 7 or 8 accents that I do. I got a Scottish guy called Scotty Potty, and he does dirty limericks. And there's Limey Rick. He does his limericks in like a British accent, like a Cockney accent. That I have upper class accent man that. Sir Hugo Bottomsley Upton, and he tells dirty limericks in his accent. And I have Malcolm Triple X, one of my favorites. He tells limericks. I got a bunch of them. I can't even remember them all. I got like 8 or 9 different voices that I do them in. Some of these, I think they all show up in the comments too, Jason. These ones that are on the that's
we probably
any idea why Satanism doesn't have chaplains? They probably get they probably have a boycott. They probably have people who are trying to keep Satanists from being chaplains. But there might be one out there. If there's enough Satanists in the army, they'll demand one. And they could get one. Do you hold anything as strongly as theists do? Really, religion? Do you hold? I don't know. Sometimes I hold myself at night strongly. Looks like that's really it. We pretty much got to all of them. I've just realized, see how shitty I am at this. I just realized I could hit that that question mark at the bottom. It'll light up with a red dot if you want to leave one there. Then it won't scroll by, and I can pick it. So if I missed your question, use that box down there maybe.
So someone asked us a while ago about any tips on raising a child free from religion within a religious family or extended family.
Yeah, I mean, make sure that you can debrief them. Take them to the church and tell them that there's a million other churches out there that other people think a different way. If you need to go to church with the family, and I get that, it's fun for the kids to go with grandpa and grandma and do what they do on Sunday. I had religious grandparents, and we had a nice dinner afterwards, and I loved it. I loved growing up, and I had a good church and a good experience in church. But I think the right way to do that is simply, make sure your kids know, and take the chance to take them to a synagogue, or take them to a whatever you have. Take them to other Christian churches. Take them to a mana. Take them to a friendly Hindu temple if you got a mandir near you that you can go to, and just expose them to all the other religions and talk to them about philosophy and talk to them about atheism, and let them make so that they know there's more than one idea, and then they won't be as apt to just buy one in terms of indoctrination. They'll be more ready to think about it on their own when they're a little bit older. That's my best advice there. Do I think atheism leads to apathy or nihilism? I think a lot of atheisms are apathetic by nature, because they're just loners and they don't, they don't really care to be involved in the problems of others, and that's why atheism is not humanism. It's two different things. But nihilism, I mean, it's hard for me not to figure that we're all kind of nihilists anyway. If you don't think that there's a God who has a purpose for all of this, it's like what else are you really gonna buy into? You know, we're just animals who evolved to the point where we can think about these things. There's no other purpose to being here, other than to have a good time while you're here and not hurt people and try to learn stuff, try to leave the place better. So, yeah, sad existentialism, I suppose. So, nihilism is the idea that there is no purpose to life, and so why look for one, or why purpose your life to anything other than the end, which is simply dying and nothing. I guess I'm not a philosopher. Maybe I didn't explain that very well, but another invitation to go live together. I'm declining these again tonight, and please don't be offended by that. I feel bad doing that. I'm the kind of guy who would be like, yeah, and we'd have 20 people going live together. But no, I'm declining all of the invites to go live together. And they have a feeling that some of these people are wanting to debate, because I'm not about that. I don't care to debate religious people. You think that may be what it is, Jay? Or do you think?
Yeah, I think they're random. Like, you can just, because once you go on, I think you can join anyone. So I think they're literally just going around and inviting to like random people to see what they've run into.
Is it me or Christianity be Islam debate is a total waste of time? I don't.
It's probably Christianity versus Islam debate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather watch two mountain goats butt heads. Watch a nature documentary instead of that, man. Oh my God. What do you think of churches making profits? They should pay taxes. If churches aren't non-for-profit and they're making profits, then they should pay taxes. There are rules about nonprofits, and most churches are nonprofits. All churches are nonprofits, and so they have to follow certain rules. If any money they make has to be treated a certain way, and if it's not, then they need to be taken to task by the IRS. But this is another example of religious exceptionalism. The IRS won't go there, because then it's like the government getting involved in religion, which is against the Constitution. So they're very loath to try to go after nonprofits, meaning churches that either blatantly make a profit or stump for a candidate, support a certain political candidate, which nonprofits are not allowed to do. And our own atheist nonprofits are subject to the punishment that comes from that. So we follow those rules. Our parent organization, FFRF, in Madison, and I urge everybody to join. It's like $40 a year. Join ffrf.org, and it's like $50 for a family and $40 for an individual. And you're helping support the organization that fights Christian nationalism through lawsuits. If something, violates the Establishment Clause of the Constitution, FFRF will fight it in court and take it all the way to the Supreme Court and Congress, and they have, and they win. And so they're battling the civil rights battle that I talk about, and they are one of your biggest allies. There's the American Humanist Association, American Atheists, and there's several others too, but FFRF is the one that we belong to. We're a chapter here of it, and so I heartily encourage everybody to give up their $40 and help support what is an extremely, extremely important cause for all of us. Yeah, Yeah, exactly. The mountain goats would be much better. Go ahead.
Someone asked if you had heard of Ted Haggard.
Yeah, Haggard was a TV preacher, wasn't he? I've heard of Haggard. I don't know.
I know he's an evangelical. I know he's a preacher. I just don't know that much about him.
I want to say he had a TV show like a lot of those putches. Remember Jimmy Swaggart? I sinned before you, please forgive me. When he got caught shagging so hottie. Or some naughty, I don't know. But you remember that? Yeah, it was brutal. They all had their day, didn't they? What's the other guy? Baker. He's kind of come back. He got rid of the comb over. I thought that I was proud of him for at least shaving his head. Got rid of that comb over, and he looks a lot better. His wife, the makeup, she died. Tammy Faye. She's in heaven with Jesus now. Build huge new CHU. CHU. What's that? Central Housing Unit. What does that mean?
I don't actually see what you see.
Amanda DeBell. how do you think they afford to build huge new churches, right? Yeah, well, I don't know, man. They have big donors. There's rich Christians looking for tax shelters all the time, and so if you're looking for a tax shelter, you build a wing of the new megachurch. I'm guessing, but that's probably a big part of it. Plus, they got all kinds of well off Karens and their families from the suburbs making big money who think it's so important to be a conformist Christian nationalist that they give a tenth of their income to the damn church. And if you get enough of those people together, the bank sees it, the bank will give you a loan, and you can build one of the fucking buildings. So that doesn't surprise me too much. Yeah, the hijab ban in France, it's a tough one. That's a tough one. I can't be against a sovereign nation choosing for security reasons to ban masks, which it's too easy to call the full face covering a tool that can be used for anything from robbing banks to setting bombs in alleys. It could be a man behind that. So if somebody's like, hey, you don't know, you could tell if it's a man. Bullshit, man. There's plenty of tiny, effeminate men who are Muslim who could put on a hijab and strap a bomb to their chest and go down in the subway. So if France feels it's necessary, they're a lot more in the line of fire than we are when it comes to terrorism. They're a lot closer. There's a lot more Muslims there. The whole the cartoonist thing, the Charlie Hebdo or whatever it was, where they shot up the cartoonist for John Muhammad. That happened in France and France and England both. If they feel it's necessary to do that for security reasons, that's hard for me to argue against that. But at the same time, I can totally see how it seems discriminatory and against religious freedom too. So that's a tough argument. But I would just say to those people that don't live in France if you want to wear your hijab and it's against the law, and go fucking move back to Morocco or the fuck. Morocco's cool. I didn't mean to pick on Morocco. I think Morocco's pretty cool, but yeah, go back to your Muslim fundamentalist shithole and wear your hijab there if France won't let you. That's what I have to say about that. I can't. The government has the right to do that. I think if they feel it's necessary.
This was from earlier thoughts on Buddhism.
Charlie Hebdo. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, thoughts on Buddhism. That was from earlier.
Oh, like I said, Buddhism. In theory, it's cool as hell. It's one of the cooler atheistic religions. It does have some supernatural aspects, obviously reincarnation and whatnot that I can't get behind. But from a philosophy standpoint, it makes a lot more sense than Western religions. That's for fucking sure. They have huge problems with the kind of demagoguery that leads to sexual abuse, where a guy will start an Islam or a Buddhist center in California, and then when all the enlightened hippies come and join it, then he just starts shagging the ones that he wants to and uses his position of authority to be a real. And I can't think of Rinpoche. There's a guy who's like under fire for doing it, and in public he seems like a real spiritual dude, and behind the scenes he's just like a terror of abuse of all kinds, emotional abuse on the people who work for him, and sexual abuse of the people who look up to him, and Buddhism is full of the kind of abuse of children that goes on in the temples that they have in the East, where the monks are supposedly celibate and they do what priests do in the Catholic Church. And I'm trying not to say shit that gets us banned, but it happens. It happens in Buddhist temples, and parents turn a blind eye, because if you live in Nepal and you're poor and your kid gets invited to join the Buddhist monastery, that's like a dream come true for those people. Your kid gets fed and educated, and you don't have to worry about feeding him and educating him. And he's, in your mind, he's going to have a better life than he ever would have had on the streets of one of those poorer nations that have a lot of Buddhists. So they find out about this abuse and they don't necessarily say anything about it. So I've talked to people, I've interviewed people who investigate that, and I hope to get back at it and maybe get it on the podcast about the sexual abuse that goes on in different religions. And we talked about the Amish people earlier, who such an insular community that women get horribly abused sexually that people don't even know about. We don't think about it. How life started without help. We know how life started on rocky planets without God's help. That's the scientists aren't even really looking at that anymore because it started with a group of chemicals called cyanosulfidic chemicals. That over, and we're talking about over billions of years, evolved into simple celled organisms and on into to larger, more complicated forms of life. It's not really in question anymore. Some of the details of different steps along the way are still being sussed out, but that one's we've got it pretty much figured out. And all you got to do is look up. Neil deGrasse Tyson's talked about it. They're not even. We're looking at how the Big Bang started and quantum theory and trying to figure out if there's a multiverse and what goes on there. That's the shit we don't know yet. But to give it up to God is just lazy thinking, strictly for the incurious and those who want there to be a God. Yeah, parallel realities. If reincarnation could be a thing, but that would just be science that we don't understand. That's not God. So I'm willing to entertain the idea that all kinds of things like extrasensory perception and deja vu and time loops and string theory. It's all there's tons of science that we don't understand yet, and I wish I could live long enough to see the answers because sooner or later they'll figure all that shit out. I don't know if it's the Bikram yoga guy. I can't recall his name. I'm getting old, but I've talked to people who know who he is and what he does, and it's Rinpoche is part of the name, and whether that's his title or his name, I can't recall. They don't know how the pyramids were built. Yeah, they do. They don't know how the pyramids were built. We know where built in Egypt. But yeah, they do know that. I'm just really afraid of death, so I like to think it's possible. Death is possible. Believe it. Anything else? They got one? This has been
Someone
rocking.
I don't know if you can play a song on your whistle.
Play a song? A one note song. I don't think it only has one note, I think. I don't think I can make another tone. You can't really block the holes. I think it would do that if I could really block these holes. But yeah, it would be a boring song. Right? How we doing on time, man? We gotta cut it off soon or what? I gotta go to bed, man. What time is it? Gotta be after 10.
It's 10:40. I gotta jump off in a minute.
10:40?
Yeah.
Wow. Going for an hour and 40 minutes. Thank you so much, everybody. With a few more questions. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for listening. Do I believe in extraterrestrials? I believe there's life somewhere. The universe is too big, but there aren't any aliens that have reached out to us yet. There's no evidence for that, and it's unlikely because of the distances that we ever will. They're in the same boat we are. They're not going to be able to get over, the limitations of travel over those great distances. So it's unlikely that anyone's advanced enough to get to us from another planet, or that we can get there. And SETI, of course, is shot in the dark. I mean, by the time a signal gets anywhere, it might be too late. They might have moved on, or the society might be dead by the time even our signal gets there. So, we might be able to reach out that way and find evidence somewhere of some kind of civilization. But no, right now, I believe there's probably life in the universe, and maybe even advanced life, but unlikely that it's more advanced than we are.
Should we try to do a lightning round?
If I met an alien who inexplicably spoke English, what would you say to them? I would say, do you got good weed on that planet? Bob Lazar. No, I have not watched a documentary about Bob Lazar. I like documentaries too. Underground. What feels is some kind of energy that started the universe. Others call God. I feel maybe. People call all kinds of shit God. Anything that they don't understand, and they don't feel like looking for the answers. Put it up to God. Just give it up to God. God. Is there a lightning round to have? I don't know. Are the questions coming in that fast?
No, not really.
Not really.
The only other one that you missed was when did you become an atheist? Well, let me explain it so people can put it in. If you have a question, we'll answer this one more, and then if you have a question, put it in now, and we'll answer them really fast so that we could try to get everyone. And I think you'd probably be able to read them from. I'll let you know if you miss any. But the one that you did miss was when did you become an atheist? Again.
Yeah. When we've talked about that, but I have people come and go. When I left my parents, basically, between the ages of 16 and 20, I'd say I evolved out. Trying to find new suggestions to say instead of "oh my god." Any suggestions? I like "holy shit." I guess that has "holy" in it, so maybe that doesn't work for you. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can say.
Leah said,
"Great Scott," like Superman. Old say, "Great Scott."
Yeah. My wife says Godzilla because it's so similar.
Okay.
It's easier to.
Why does she do that though? Why isn't she?
I think just kind of like instead of saying, I think just to make fun of whenever you use the term God.
She's not using it as a euphemism to avoid saying God. I mean, that's what people. That's where all that Jeepers Creepers instead of saying Jesus Christ, all that stuff is just a way not to offend God by saying the word God. Like God gives a shit about English if he existed.
Right.
That always kills me. And people who won't spell it, that's what kills me. These trolls, these Christian trolls who won't spell the word God, and they'll put like a 0 in it or something, or because they think that they're gonna burn if they spell God. Oh my glob. Oh my dog.
Oh yeah.
There is no dog. There is no God, but there is a dog. She's not in here. I didn't let her in because she gets antsy, like Goofy. A couple more, and then we're gonna have to go. Gotta go to sleep.
Someone mentioned because Bob Lazar is the Area 51, so it might be a good time to talk.
Yeah. The Area 51 thing. I don't know if it's. I think it's been pretty well debunked that there's really anything there at Area 51, but maybe I'll take a look. The problem with documentaries is they can be spun too. You can't always just take them as being super objective because it's a documentary. It must be. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there making documentaries too. So.
Yeah, I meant the podcast.
What about it? Oh yeah. The last podcast we did was Area 51. Was Avenue. We called it Avenue 51 because we make different stops. The subway, the little train makes different stops around parts of a secular area that we call Infidelphia, and that one was Avenue 51, and we talked about alien origins theory, and made fun of it. So check that out on iTunes or Spotify or atheistunderground.com. And the next one will be on the Big Bang, hoping to find a cosmologist or somebody similar to talk to us about that. And hopefully we can get that podcast out in the next month or so, and people can enjoy that. Am I a locomotive enthusiast? Yes. Yeah. It is for the brand, but I am. I love trains too. And we're right next to the tracks here. They go like really, really close. I can touch them. There's not any gate or anything. And it's like a side spur where they go from one line to the other. So it's always little short trains or just an engine, or like the workers with their cool train, like equipment trains with a crane on them and stuff. And the guy with the truck that's got the train track that he can take his truck on the trains. I always wanted one of those trucks. That'd be cool, right? So you're like blasting down the tracks and the train's coming the other way, then you're fucked, man. He said Big Bang. I missed it. Yeah, who doesn't love trains, right? All right.
Call it a night.
Call it a night. Thank you so much for everybody for joining. That was a blast, and we'll do it again. We'll be here Sunday morning, and don't feel like talking about women being goddesses. I love women, and they're all goddesses to me. So I can't help myself. I like them. But yeah, no, we got a blast. Went longer than we thought it would. Thank you again, everybody. Really appreciate all the comments, all the likes. Keep it up. We'll see you on the page, and we'll see you next Sunday. This Sunday morning, 10:30. All right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Take it easy, everybody. How do we end this thing? I don't even know. That's how bad I am at it. I'm gonna just turn my phone off. We're done.
It looks like a power button.
Where?
It's on.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Power button. Yeah. Off. Night, everybody. We love you.